Joining us now to discuss Liam's case, he's the senior counsel and vice president of U.S. litigation at the Alliance Defending Freedom Group, the firm helping Liam and his family fight this ridiculous case. David Cortman on the program for the first time. David, nice to see you. Sorry for the long build-up, but that was just a small sampling, and I'm sure you're well aware of it. Representing this young man, you're probably up to speed on all of the cases going around this country where young students don't have their say, don't have their freedom of speech in the classroom so that others may have theirs. I'm sorry, David, you know the law a lot better than me, but that sounds pretty anti-American and against that little pesky thing called free speech.
It really is, and it's amazing the lessons that the schools are teaching the kids now, and that is if there's speech you don't like, just simply censor it. Never mind having a civil debate, disagree, learn from each other. But if you don't like it, just complain, and the school will be glad to censor the speech. And that's not the right lesson, practically speaking, and certainly not under the Constitution.
No kidding. But unfortunately, you have educators that are learning from the higher up, these progressive liberals that are in the state houses, that are in the federal buildings, that are sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, that are okay with this, that are literally saying, well, if someone says something you don't like that hurts your feelings, because we forgot to teach these last couple generations that good old wise tale, right? About sticks and stones may break your bones. Words don't hurt you, kids. They're not violence. They're not, it's insane. So this case, your firm took it up. Why?
Well, because it is an extremely important principle for everybody. Both sides of the issue, both sides of the aisle, whatever debate you're talking about, we have to uphold free speech because then whatever is politically incorrect at the time gets silenced. And so this is a principle that everyone should be on, whether you're conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. And so in this situation, it's so important because if we don't allow Liam to make sure he's got the right to speak on a subject that's dividing the culture, this debate that's going on nationally, then it's just, someone else's turn next to be silenced. So it's an extremely important principle across the board.
No kidding. So this case just got, I don't know what I should call it, an appeals court said it was okay and sided with the school. So you obviously, how did it get already to that level? Was there a local hearing, or describe for me how when you got involved and where the case has gone so far and where it goes next?
Sure. We started out at the district court level, which is federal court in Massachusetts.
Yep.
And you have a small trial in front of the judge. The judge takes the evidence and makes the decision. And the judge held that the school could silence Liam's speech. He basically said it offended, it invaded the rights of other students, even though we argued, what about Liam's rights? You have their position and it's his. We lost at the lower court, so we appealed to what's called the First Circuit Court of Appeals, which is right below the Supreme Court, and they upheld that decision, and they basically said that it's demeaning to other students for Liam to give his point of view. Now, what's incredible about that is the school not only pushed this subject matter, they're the ones who started the Pride Month celebration.
Of course they did.
They encouraged students to jump in, but only if you disagree with them. If you take a different view, then it's okay to be censored and silenced. And your last question, where does this go? Next step is up to the Supreme Court, and we're hopeful that they'll reverse this decision because they've held for decades since this case back in the Vietnam War with black armbands, most people have heard about, that you have to allow free speech, especially on both sides of an issue. You can't silence one view while you allow the other view, and that's what's most incredible.
That's what I just don't understand is how, and see, this is what's going to be hilarious to me. You'll go to the Supreme Court, it'll get overturned, so that makes me, once again, question our judicial system. I know yesterday we weren't supposed to after the Hunter Biden ruling because that just shows there's no lawfare, there's no two-tier justice system because, see, Trump was found guilty on something totally separate and bogus, and Biden was found guilty on something, so it's all fair. But you just said the Supreme Court has overruled a bunch of the... So what does that say about those lower courts with liberal justices that are saying in Massachusetts at your local and then your appellate level, that both of them are saying no? But the Supreme Court, you most likely will think, and there's a lot of precedents here, will say, no, this young man has free speech. What does that say about our system?
Yeah, I mean, one thing it says is people need to get involved. People say my vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter. The president appoints federal judges and justices. And so it clearly does matter whether it's at your local school level, get involved in the local school board, go to the school, voice your opinion. But certainly you need to stay involved because it matters that your voice be heard.
Yeah. David, please keep us informed of what happens to this young man in this case. I'm very interested. I think all Americans should be, because you said something very poignant in the middle of all this. You said they deemed his speech, to be harmful towards them. So that's why the appellate court upheld the first judge decision. And I'm sure you argued this point and just said, what about Liam's free speech? And I don't get how a justice or justices would look at that and go, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, we should have thought about that. But they didn't. This is insane to me. David Cortman, Vice President, U.S. Litigation, Alliance Defending Freedom. Thank you, sir, for all you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Yep.